Hey guys, what's going on? It is Thursday, June 25th. Had a pretty massive week. I've been having some decent luck out there. My buddy Aaron sent me a tip about a rummage sale that had a ton of video games, and they did. The interesting thing is they were completely overpriced on their original Xbox stuff. They wanted $80 for the console and about 15, 20 games maybe. There was Predator Concrete Jungle, and Alien vs. Predator Extinction, and Halo 1 and 2, and Doom 3, and a bunch of the Ghost Recon stuff, a lot of shooter stuff. Problem is that neither of the Alien games were there. No Extinction and no... Sorry, not Extinction. Yeah, Alien vs. Predator Extinction, and no Concrete Jungle. So there was no Predator Concrete Jungle and no Alien vs. Predator. The cases were there, games were not. Halo 2... and Doom 3, even with the expansion, they're not hard enough to find to make it worth my while. I offered her $50 because I told her I knew what they were worth, and she said, I don't think he'll go that low, so she called him, and he counter-offered $65, saying, let's meet in the middle, and I was like, no, you don't. He didn't even have Microsoft original controller S's or the Duke. He had 2 Mad Catz controllers and Mad Catz hookups for the thing, so everything is well taken care of. I'll give him that, but I'm not paying $80 for it. At the very least, the console better be all first party, but all the hookups were Mad Catz and the controllers were Mad Catz. He didn't even have the AV stuff. He had the RF unit, so I wasn't going to do that. So I did buy a stack of 10 games from him, and he did take 35 for the 10 games. He was asking $5 each. Some of them aren't worth $5. Some of them aren't even worth $3.50. But first up, he took $35 for the lot. So I was glad to get him. First up for the PS1, everything is well taken care of, like minty. Worms World Party. Not a huge fan of the Worms series, but for $3.50, I'll give it a whirl. Go through this. There's a massive stack of PS2 stuff. Scooby-Doo, Night of 100 Frights. Family Guy, the video game. This one I don't see out there a ton. It's not particularly valuable, but Jack X Combat Racing I do not see out there a ton. Here's a guilty pleasure game for sure. This is not a good game by any means, but this is Prism Chapter 1, The Dark Unicorn. The comic and manual are in there. It's a sort of a isometric action RPG, but you run around on the unicorn as opposed to being on foot. It's like I said, it's right in the category of Dark Angel, Vampire Apocalypse, another action RPG that is by no means perfect, but I like those kind of games, so I'm way more lenient on them than I probably should be. Here's one that's relatively rare, hard to come by. That is Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge. I have this on the Xbox. I now have it on the PS2. Speaking of another harder to find, tougher to find game, relatively valuable. This is Jaws Unleashed. I'm not talking about hundreds of dollars valuable. You know, still a $20 game, so to get it for $3.50, pretty solid pickup. Then 2 games I did not have. Glad to get both of them. The demo discs are both in there. That's Soul Calibur 2. Sorry, I did that the wrong way. Soul Calibur 2, Soul Calibur 3. They're complete. Like I said, the guy took excellent care of his games. I just wasn't forking over $80 for an Xbox. Not when I can get a 360 for $80 right now. Then, last but not least, this one is relatively valuable. As I've talked about it before, these Sega produced Marvel games are going to be insanely hard to come by, as Sega is pretty much all but done making multi-platform games, and they don't have the license anymore. So that is The Incredible Hulk for the PS3. I see the average sale price puts it right around $25, so to pick it up for $3.50, pretty solid pickup. I have it on the 360. I will most likely use this as trade-in or resell. Then it was over to Super Pawn, and picked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sorry, I keep going the wrong way. I moved my camera. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the 3DS. This was $3. Picked up a game for my niece and nephew. They're really into their Kinect right now, so I'm glad to get it. This one was $5. This is Connect's Disneyland Adventures. And last but not least, one that's not particularly valuable, but getting harder to find, and that is Tron Evolution. I remember it got middle-of-the-road reviews, but I don't really care. Oh, it was at the pawn shop, but it's sealed. Complete in box. Then over to Best Buy. This finally dropped in price. It still has the $19.99 value on it, but it was $11.99 on clearance, and that is Deadpool. Super excited to play this. I might do a playthrough of this, or a video review of it, so I'm glad to get that. Alright, then it was to the thrift stores, who were relatively picked over. I got one game at each of the, I found one game at each thrift store I stopped at. I don't go to all of them because some of them don't really pay attention when they get video games in, so when you grab them off the shelf, there's nothing in there. They're stolen. So at the Salvation Army, there was a really good pickup. Vector Man. Speaking of which, the Salvation Army now is pulling games out of the cases and keeping them in back until you purchase them. So that is super nice. There have been several times I'd gone to grab stuff, gone to purchase games, or even DVDs or Blu-rays there, and they were gone. Not in the case. They were stolen. So glad to see that they're doing it. So good on you, Salvation Army in Grand Forks. Then Another Chance thrift store, or Dakota Boys Ranch, whatever you want to call it, had one game of note. That is Shell Shock for the PS1. Not particularly rare or valuable, but it is a big box game. I completely forgot. There is one thing that is interesting about this game. It reminds me a lot of Battletank, Battlezone. You know, first person, you're in a tank. That's the Battlezone, or is it Battletank? I can't remember. Battlezone, I believe, is what it's called. Is my earliest gaming memory of playing that at my cousin Mike's over Christmas, and that was the first game I had any level of proficiency at as a kid, so I sort of have a soft spot for these tank games, even when they aren't good. But this is Shell Shock. I completely forgot. This is the interesting thing. Hardcore hip-hop beats of Bar None, a.k.a. William Floyd of the San Francisco 49ers. Why that has anything to do with the gameplay is beyond me, but whatever. Then over at Goodwill for $3, each of these were $3, by the way. For $3, I completed the NBA Street trilogy, I believe, with NBA. Is it Hardcourt? It's the one with Carmelo Anthony on the cover. I believe this sort of completes the run of them. So I got this. I have 1, 2, and 3, and then what is that called? It's going to drive me nuts now. It is, yeah, NBA Street Home Court. So I believe Home Court was the last one they made in that series. If I'm wrong, you can let me know in the comments below. Then over to Rock 30, had some Rock 30 rewards built up because they still accumulate after the big massive haul on Rock 30 Rewards Day. So I picked up a game I do not have for my Xbox collection. I'll need to get new artwork for it, as it is obviously been water damaged. Otherwise, the disc and manual are in great shape, and that is Obscure, sort of co-op action survival horror. Not gonna lie about this one. This is definitely a pickup strictly for the achievements, and that is Avatar: The Last Airbender: Burning Earth. This was a purchase from Hollywood Video. This is actually getting rarer and rarer. You're not seeing as much of these Hollywood Video games anymore because Hollywood Video is no longer around. So I'm gonna have to get the artwork for that. I can't imagine that's gonna be tough to track down. Picked up a Wii game. Actually excited to play this. It's got sort of a cel-shaded look. You know about my love of cel-shaded games, and that is Wario Land Shake It. Looks like a lot of fun. I knew there was a Wario Land game on the Wii, but I'd never actually played it. And being that I've got my Wii U hooked up on my main TV, I'll probably do that instead of playing it on the Wii that's up in my upstairs living room. All right, then. Didn't know there was a sequel for this, so I'm glad to actually pick it up because I had a blast playing the first one. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on the 360. I try when I buy a game, on one console, if it gets a sequel, I try to stick to that console. Just for control scheme, I prefer the 360 Xbox One Xbox controller over the DualShock. That's not to say I don't like the DualShock. But I picked up Full Auto 2 Battle Lines. Had a blast with the first one. For some reason, the first one gets a lot of shit I don't know why. I actually loved it. I have a feeling my buddy Jason in Chicago would love the Full Auto series. So Jason, if you're at a used game store or whatever, pick it up. It's a good game. I got both of them for less than $10 combined. Then sort of a rarer game. This is sort of a pseudo follow-up to Def Jam Vendetta, and this is Def Jam Icon. Definitely getting tougher to find. This is in just a replacement case. I might replace the artwork too because it's a little bit janky as well. Doesn't have a manual, but I'll get that. Then, after I picked up Rango, I've been way more forgiving of games that are supposed to be quote-unquote kids games. So I picked this up because it looks really crisp, and I've already played about an hour of it. I might do, as well as Deadpool, I might do a capture of this too. And I really like doing captures of the old games because I feel like right now everybody's so focused on the new consoles and Steam that some of the older, I wouldn't even say obscure titles get missed, so I like doing that as opposed to doing live. I would do live gameplay of old games as well, but as far as captures and reviews go, I like doing it of the older games of the previous generation, just because a lot of stuff gets overlooked. And this is Disney's Phineas and Ferb. Was it Across the Second Dimension? And like I said, I've already played about an hour of this, and the graphics are really crisp and sharp. Looks just like the cartoon. I've maybe seen 3 episodes of the cartoon, so I doubt there's any lore that I need to know about to enjoy this game. Plus, I see there's 4 episodes for free on here, so maybe I'll watch those 4 episodes and see if I enjoy it. Then, over to GameStop, picked up a guilty pleasure game that is Tornado Outbreak, where you play as the tornado. This sort of cutting a path of destruction wherever you go reminds me a lot of the mechanic in Blast Corps, where you would blast everything in your way to complete an objective, to clear an area so a semi could get through, or etc. And Blast Corps is one of my probably in my personal top 20 favorite games ever. So then, last but not least, it was one more GameStop pickup. I had $10 in power-up rewards built up there, so I got the pair of these games for like $11.14. And this one's definitely not rare, but certainly probably got a low print run, and excuse me, got a low print run, and was definitely not stocked that often for sure. And this is History Legends of War Patton. This is another one. I got the History Channel's Civil War. I believe this is sort of the pseudo-sequel, pseudo-follow-up. I can't remember if that's right or not. But anyway, this is another one where I got the sequel on the PS3 as opposed to tracking it down for the 360. Like I said, I don't particularly like doing that, but if I have to, I have to. Alright, so let's do a quick recap because there's a bunch of games here, but this isn't nearly the biggest haul I've ever had. So, Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, brand new copy of Deadpool, brand new copy of Tron Evolution, for my niece and nephew, Disneyland Adventures for the Kinect, History Channel's Legends of War Patton, Tornado Outbreak for the PS3, Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension, Def Jam Icon, Full Auto 2 Battle Lines, Wario Land Shake It, Avatar The Last Airbender, The Burning Earth, the achievement game, Obscure for the Xbox, NBA Street Volume 3, Shell Shock for the PS1, Vector Man for the Genesis, Incredible Hulk for the PS3, Worms World Party for the PS1, Soul Calibur 2, Soul Calibur 3. I didn't even realize this, but sort of appropriate. Jaws Unleashed. The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge. Prism Chapter 1, The Dark Unicorn. Jack X Combat Racing. Family Guy, the video game. And Scooby-Doo, Night of 1,000... I say 1,000 all the time. It's Night of 100 Frights. So, thanks for watching, everybody. just picked up an HP Stream. I might do a little review of that. It's a Windows 8 tablet. They had a massive sale on them on the Windows Store, so I picked it up just to try it out. Since it doesn't sound like my launch Surface is going to be Windows 10 compatible, but the HP Stream will be Windows 10 compatible. Because as I understand it, if it can run full Windows 8, it can run full Windows 10. So might do a little review of that. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and we'll see you maybe next week. We'll see how it goes with it being with the 4th of July and whatnot coming up. We'll see how it goes. I can't imagine there's going to be a ton of rummage sales the weekend of the 4th of July, so it might just be gameplay videos. And now that I've got my new lighting in my gaming area, the office with all my old consoles, I might finally get around to doing that promised game room tour. So, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and we will see you next week.